You didn't expect that, did you? I felt like narrating one more battle this week, so here it is. Today we have reached a big city and decide to visit a funfair to have some good time. There we meet a strangely familiar guy with a shiny Vibrava on his shoulder. It sure has been a long time since I've last seen you, he says. And then I remember, it's PuddlesA1, the genesis of our Pokemon adventure, the first opponent that we've ever faced. There was no need for words, we ended up having a battle. So on my side there is a team that I haven't used for a long time, based around Shedinja with Anorith's rapid spin support as well as Magnemite and Togetic working with Rock Polish Baton Pass Lunaton. As it turns out, it's Puddle's first time on the PU land and he basically slapped whatever happened to be in his PU box. Let's see then how it went down. I lead off with Shedinja and seeing a Catleon on the other side, I want to scout whether he is carrying a Toxic. For that reason, I switched to Foot Pinch, also known as Dick Pinch Jr., because I want to set up my Stealth Rock, with my max attack investment do some good damage with a Brick Break, and then rapid spin his own Stealth Rock on his switch. He reveals a Thunder Wave right now, which means that he probably doesn't carry Toxic, meaning that after I get rid of rocks on my side, I can freely switch to Shedinja against this thing. I get fully paralyzed as he goes to Pelipper, but I'm pretty sure that I just went for a Brick Break right there, so it doesn't make much of a difference. Then I make a very risky play and stay in, predicting him to set up something on my switch rather than going for a water attack, because you know, who in his right mind would stay in that situation. There is a method in this madness though, because he goes for an Air Slash, which does less than half to me and I get over Rapid Spin, which will be crucial to what's gonna happen later on. Then I go to Pekka, Nasty Plot Togetic, knowing that I can take his hits for days and set up in his face. So I go for a Nasty Plot as he reveals the Toxic on this thing's moveset, which is good to keep in mind for later. Then I get up to plus 4 as he goes for another Air Slash and proceed to doodle the fuck out of him. If you don't know what I'm referring to, you probably never played Pekka 2, so just for you there is a link in the description, give it a try, it's really a fantastic platformer. Anyway, his Pelipper easily goes down to plus 4 Hyper Voice and then he misses a Rock Slide, but he told me that this Vibrava was carved, so if he had a Jolly nature, barring absolute max damage I could take it, and even if he was adamant, I still had a chance of leaving it, so yeah, I'm not sure if that mattered. Now in comes Persian, and I decide to save Togetic as a death fodder and switch to Shedinja to take an obvious fake out. Then I double switch to Marshtomp to take just as obvious bite, and since this Marshtomp is actually running my own counter code set, I decide to counter his U-turn and do a solid chunk to whatever happens to come in. He brings his Raichu, which I find kinda odd, because many Marstomps carry Earthquake on their moveset, and in this situation it would have been the best move to go for. But because I go for a counter, he is able to Encore me on it and then makes a good play and switches right back to Persian, predicting my switch to Shedinja, which most likely was his Raichu. However, I decide to bring my Togetic as a death fodder to gain a switch advantage, and since he U-turns back to Catleon, I go right back to Anorith to prevent him from setting up his Stealth Rocks at any cost, because seeing how much trouble my Shedinja is giving him, I know that it's my key to victory. Probably realizing that I'm not gonna let him set up his Stealth Rocks, he decides to hit me with Return instead, but I decide to go for a Brick Break rather than Rapid Spin to put some pressure on him. It does about half to him after leftovers, but because of his color change to Fighting type, it won't be a 2-hit KO, so then I go for a Rapid Spin to change his type back to normal. Yeah, I don't think anyone has used Rapid Spin for that purpose before. Thankfully, I don't get paralyzed once, and eventually, he finishes me off without setting up rocks on my side, which allows me to bring the MVP of this game for some late game cleaning. I set up a Swords Dance as he recovers off his health and then T-Waves me to find out whether I'm carrying a Lumberry or a Focus Sash. Seeing how much resisted X-Scissor does, I'm thinking that neutral Shadow Sneak at +2 should be enough to take him out from this range, and it is. So that's one major wall on his side gone, and suddenly the game gains a lot of momentum. Because my Focus Sash is still intact, he knows that he can't bring his Persian yet, so he goes to Raichu instead to try and Encore me on a Shadow Sneak, hoping that I get fully paralyzed, but that doesn't happen, so then he's left with no choice but to go to his Persian to break my Sash. With Marshtomp still in good shape, I have no intentions of staying in though, so I take a bite followed up by Return like a beast, and Waterfall turns out to be a one-hit KO. Now he's down to his Hitmore, and Giga Drain is so obvious that even Capitan Obvious didn't bother to mention it, but I decide to play it safe and leave Laser to die, thinking that he probably has a Sucker Punch, so if he goes for a Fire Blast on my switch, Shedinja is as good as dead. But then, instead of going back to it, I let my Felix have some time on this stage, take a Fire Blast with Sturdy and get the last kill with a Thunderbolt, so that is the game. Good game, Puddles. Not too shabby for your first PU battle. I think the one thing that you weren't prepared for is a nasty plot Togetic, and that's mostly what screwed you over. Anyway, as always, hit that like button and leave a few words in the comment if you enjoyed, and I see you all next time.